Chapter 9. Part of the Jungle. The water quickly gurgled into Omar's boots, then felt its way up his legs. It was cool and refreshing for about a second, and then Omar could feel it tugging at him. It wanted to sweep him away. The bottom of the river was soft and slimy, and it was hard for his boots to get a grip. He jammed the stick into the riverbed, and with every step, and to give himself an extra hold, the water kept on rising as they got further out. Knees, hips, stomach. The higher it got, the more it wanted to knock him over. He set his eyes on the far bank and trudged on. It was so tempting just to chuck the stick away and try to wade faster. His mind was telling him, ignore the law of the jungle, just swim for it. But Omar knew that if he stopped doing the river crossing technique, then the water would just take him. Sure, he could swim for the bank and get there eventually, but he would be swept downstream. And then what might happen? He remembered that caiman and how invisible it had been right up until the last moment. He needed to stick to the plan. Omar shifted his bandaged hand to the top of the stick to keep it out of the water and keep going. He started to breathe heavily. It was impossible to hurry, even if he wanted to now. Keep going, Omar, Bear said, turning to look at him. Slow and steady, but keep going. You'll need to find that inner determination if you're going to get across this safely. You can do it, Omar. Some great description on this page. Can you spot any year threes? More than halfway over, Omar finally felt the water start to give. It was getting lower. His legs were aching, but he didn't give up or stop trying. He still took every step just as carefully as before, even when the water was down to his knees, and he was splashing through the shallows. His tired legs wobbled with the effort. Finally, Bear gave him a hand up onto the far bank. He grinned down at him. You couldn't have done that yesterday. You hadn't learnt jungle discipline and determination. He paused. Or jungle humility, he added with a smile. I'm impressed, buddy. Omar laughed. Yeah, I guess not. But Bear was looking over the top of his head, back at the river. His face suddenly changed, and abruptly he gave Omar a violent shove. Up that tree, run! The ache in Omar's legs vanished, and he ran at top speed for the tree that Bear had pointed at. Bear grabbed Omar round the waist and boosted him up. Omar gripped the nearest branch with both hands and swung his legs up. With a bit of wriggling, he managed to haul himself up. The author's really changed pace here from positive all the way through to something a little bit more energetic. Meanwhile, Bear had shinned up the trunk and sat behind him. A caiman was coming across the river like a small torpedo. Its eyes sticking out of the water made a small bow wave. Omar gasped. How fast can they go? Up to 20 miles an hour. That's faster than you or me. The caiman hit the bank and kept going. Massive claws the size of a man's hand dug into the mud as it hurled itself onto the land. It slowed down as it strolled over to the tree. It seemed to be swinging its hips as it walked, like it didn't have a care in the world. I can wait, it seemed to say, as it lay down beneath them. It knew they weren't going anywhere. Omar gazed with fascination at the killing machine below. It was longer than Bear would be if he lay down next to it. Its scales were as big as both his hands if he clasped them together. Its massive mouth was clamped shut, but pointed teeth still jutted past its lips. They can stand on their back legs, Bear said. Keep your feet up and work your way back up here. Omar carefully wriggled his way back along the branch. He and Bear sat side by side with their backs to the trunk. How long do we wait? Omar asked. As long as it takes. Eventually, it will go for something easier to catch. I hope. Eventually, thought Omar. What good was eventually? But once again, he made himself stop thinking like that. It wasn't helpful. This was the jungle. Things took as long as they took, and that was all there was to it. Setting records would have to wait for a day when there wasn't a caiman smacking its chops a couple of metres below them. I love this picture here. I wonder if you can tell me what the croc's thinking, so the caiman's thinking, what Omar's thinking, and what Bear's thinking. Bear untied the bandana to check the bandage on Omar's hand and nodded in satisfaction at the way the cut was healing. Just takes a bit of time, like everything else, he said, and grinned at him. Omar felt a strange warm glow inside. It was a feeling of peace. He realised that he couldn't control everything. He was simply part of the jungle, and he needed to respect its rhythm. Some things he could do, like look after himself by staying in the tree. Some things he couldn't, and in those cases there was no point fretting about them. He closed his eyes. Then something hit his head, and his eyes flew open. He twisted round to see what it had been. The world shifted. Hey! His arms and legs flailed as he tried to get a grip, but he could feel himself falling. What do you think's happening here, 3? ... Where are we going next?